And the next speaker is the former Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer from 2015 to 2020 and the Labour Member of the Parliament, John McDonnell, please.
First, let me thank the organisers of this event. It takes courage, even in this country at the moment, to organise events against this war when we know the invidious work that Putin has undertaken in the past for those who've stood up to him, no matter where they are. I also want to thank all those charitable organisations that we've seen who are working so hard to supply goods in support of the Ukrainian people. Let me make a couple of simple statements. I'm here very straightforwardly, we're all here because we oppose this war and we want peace. But we're here also because this war is inflicting not just the loss of life, but immense human suffering right the way across Ukraine. But we're also here as well because it's inflicting suffering on the Russian people as well. I have sympathy for those Russian families whose young people will be coming home in coffins in body bags rather than spending their futures living in peace. And why is that happening? Well, we're here also because this war is a war crime. It is a war crime because it's a war of aggression. And it is deeply ironic that it was a Soviet jurist in the 1930s called Aaron Trenin who developed and advocated the whole concept of a war of aggression as a war crime and won that argument at Nuremberg, and as a result of that the German Nazis were put on trial and convicted of war crimes as a result of waging a war of aggression. Well, if it was good enough to prosecute those Nazi generals, it is the same basis upon which Putin and his generals themselves should be prosecuted for perpetrating a war crime on humanity. We're also here, of course, in solidarity with the people of Ukraine, but we're also here in solidarity with those heroes and heroines who in Russia are standing up for peace in opposition to the Putin regime. And they risk arrest and prosecution, imprisonment, and as we've seen in the past, even loss of life. So I want to pay tribute to those Russians who are standing with us for peace in solidarity. But we also need to say, where do we go next? The next step is exactly as we're doing today. We're building a social movement that's global to ensure that we secure peace. But it is peace on the basis of the restoration of democracy in Ukraine, and yes, one day, the restoration of democracy in Russia itself with the removal of the Putin regime. So let's today commit ourselves again to standing in solidarity, building that peace movement, but building that peace movement on the basis of the fundamental principles of freedom and democracy. Solidarity.